What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow and this is Mary. She's joining us for some RPG horror stories. Mary, how was your vacation?
Stressful. Yay!
Can you tell us more about it? What'd you do for your vacation?
Ate some bugs, stepped on some rocks, almost twisted my ankle. It was fun.
Anyway, Mary's back from vacation and she decided to join me for some RPG horror stories. Are you ready, Mary?
I'm ready.
Woo! Let's do it. Another player calls me an incel for rolling too well and that I was playing a toxic and overpowered character. We all played 3 sessions together, all of them online. The players were me, another guy, and 2 girls. We're playing in a homebrew campaign and the DM told us a bit before that the setting was about a world where a world was still recovering from a war that happened several centuries ago and had left most of the world inhabitable and cursed. The backstory for my character was that he was used to be a half-orc who fought in a war, was gravely injured and had his body turned into that of a warforged. However, the artificers making him were attacked before he could be activated again, and remained deactivated all this time. The rest of the party found him in the ruins and he somehow became activated. Basically, I just wanted to play a badass paladin and I also got really lucky rolls for stats. I didn't have any stats lower than 10. The DM thought my character had a cool story and a badass design and let me play. The rest of the party didn't have a problem except one girl, Jess, who was playing a tiefling rogue from royalty. She hated how my character had been introduced differently while the rest had met in a bar. The war my character had fought in was against demons, and tieflings did not exist back then. And by some coincidence, both the girls were playing tieflings. Do my character keep his distance, which I thought would make sense, but she didn't like it and said I was sexist and racist, even though the other girl didn't mind. Also, the other guy was playing a soldier, half-orc fighter, so to me it made sense that my character would trust him the most at the start. Is that considered racist? Like not distrusting a party member that you just haven't met, especially after being shut down for a while and suddenly you were in a war with demons and see a tiefling, kind of a devil spawn. I don't know if you guys realize, but tiefling is a kind of devil spawn. They look very devilishly looking, but also pretty devilish with the horns and tail and stuff. If a warforged awakened after a demon war and looked at me and was like, "You demon," I'd be like, "Yeah, fuck you too, buddy," but at the same time I wouldn't take offense to it because clearly he has some sort of baggage going on. I don't know, maybe I'm just not seeing it. Do you think it's sexist or racist of the Warforged to do that?
No, I don't think it's just normal.
I mean, anytime Mary meets people, she hates all people unless they're animals. Does that make her sexist or racist whenever she sees people in general? She just hates people. She's an agoraphobic. Agoraphobic? Are you agoraphobic? Actually, I have no idea. I don't know, actually.
I'm a girlphobic. I'm scared of girls. I'm scared of myself.
No, agoraphobia. It's like the fear of being like socially outside or something. I don't know.
Maybe. I'm just scared of you. That's normal.
If you was that scared of me, you wouldn't be here recording right now.
Maybe I'm screaming on the inside. Never know what's going on in my mind.
Just part of the show, but you're internally just screaming and panicking. It's like, yeah, I'm here part of the show. Please let me out. In character, the others asked my PC about his family, and it told them he had left his wife and child when he had been called to arms and regretted all of it every day. Jez out of character started calling this an incel fantasy and that my character had every red flag imaginable. She also hated that I had a high AC, did a lot of damage, like paladins do. We got into an argument and the others had to stop the game because she kept insulting me. She later sent a long message saying she doesn't want to play with us because I am an incel and left the group. The DM later asked his cousin to play with us.
Oh, yeah, and at least they got rid of the problem player.
Yeah, but I just don't understand. Hold on, let's break this down. I feel like this started off decent, right? There's the backstory, how they met, what the character's like. Suddenly, incel and a terrible player and stuff, and then leave. It just happened so quickly. So this person, Jess, I'm assuming fake name, is saying that being called to arms and regretted on leaving to go fight a war is an incel fantasy.
Maybe she was just like overthinking about something, or maybe something happened to her in the past with D&D and she just saw something in him that reminded her of that person and thought it was going to go the same way. Who knows?
If the
maybe she's
was,
had like bad experience.
But if the character was married and had a family, then how is it an incel? Incels are like, you know, don't like women and stuff, basically. She also hated that I had a high AC and did lots of damage like paladins do. But I mean, like, yeah, if you're a paladin, you have proficiency in heavy armor and can have a shield. Yeah, I'll probably also want to have high AC. That'd be really nice. Yeah, sure, that'd be very, very nice. And then like, yeah, paladins do a lot of damage. That's kind of like the only thing they really do. It's called Divine Smite. I feel like this is one of the signs that Jess is just kind of picking fights out of nowhere, just for no reason, just because she doesn't like something else about the guy, or just doesn't like his vibes or something, and is just kind of pulling random things out just out of nowhere. It's like, that's an incel fantasy. I'm not gonna elaborate how it's an incel fantasy, but it's an incel fantasy and a red flag, and you have too much AC and you do too much damage, and I am out of here.
Maybe she was just trying to find a way to leave. Just like using it as an excuse.
But if you want to leave, you just be like, hey, I gotta go, bye. And just do it like that, just simple. I don't know, it's weird. Unless we're missing a lot of context, I don't really see how you are an incel, honestly. Or that was incel behavior. I have no idea. Maybe she was just jealous that the guy had like higher rolls on stats and stuff. I don't know, honestly. Either way, in my eyes, doesn't sound like an incel in the slightest.
No incel.
No incel.
They're just normal. Just a normal person.
No, probably.
Playing a normal character.
Either way, I guess just a really weird moment. Weird champ moment, as we like to call it in the industry. Let's get to the next story for today. Matt Mercer, a hater, is kicked out of the game shop. Mary, before we get to the story, have you ever heard of the Mercer effect?
Mercer effect?
Yes, Matt Mercer effect.
No.
You know, the Matt Mercer from Critical Role.
I know the guy, but I don't know what you mean by effect, though.
To easily explain the Mercer effect, after Critical Role became really popular and people got on the train of D&D after watching Critical Role, a lot of people come in with certain expectations when going to a D&D game. They expect their game to be just like Critical Role, and for them to have the same experiences and same narration and the same voice acting and just RP in general, like they do in Critical Role, because they have a specific standard that they liked on Critical Role, and they just go into it thinking that every D&D game is basically going to be what Critical Role is. And with that context out of the way,
that's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, with that context out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the story about the Matt Mercer hater effect. After being involved in TTRPG spaces for a while now, I finally have a story that I can post here. Also, sorry if the tag is wrong. Anyway, let's get to it. A friend of mine, let's call her Annie, works at a game shop that recently just opened in our city. As part of the opening, the shop has been inviting DMs to both possibly host and teach newcomers how to play D&D and other TTRPGs. I've been running D&D 5e games for Annie and our immediate friend group for a while now. Mostly several one-shots and a mini campaign that lasted for around 20 or so sessions. She wanted to invite me and see if I was open to it, and I was more than happy and even a little excited. Anyway, the day of the event came and it was quite the turnout. There were about 50 to 60 people there. Some were checking out the MTG games, others were checking the 40k figures. And me and one other DM, who we'll call Jack, were prepping and chatting in the back with battle maps and figures ready. Jack and I were visited frequently as several people saw the signs of us teaching D&D and other TTRPGs. Obviously, we introduced 5e as a starter, since we decided that would be the easier one to talk about. The one looking for something else, Jack talked about Sambarum? Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know, honestly.
I have no idea.
And I talked about 13th Age. We mostly got little kids and a few young adults who were interested. We even ran some very short campaigns for them just to give them a feel of how the games ran. All in all, it looked like they were having fun. Cue the problem, a guy we'll call Dom. More like Dom. Nah, it's kind of mean. We don't even know the guy. Dom Dimmadome. Dom Dimmadome. He's Dom Dimmadome. I like that a lot more. We'll call him Dog Dimmadome. During the full-length activities, I was chatting with someone who had been watching Critical Role. She had never played D&D before, but was super interested in it. Was just gushing about CR. There wasn't much to do, so the two of us just talked about Vox Machina and Mighty Nine. In comes Doug Dimmadome. Out of nowhere said, "Matt Mercer is such a crap DM." And no, I'm not paraphrasing here, he actually said that. Doug Dimmadome quickly sat down and began to go on some weird tirade about how, without Matt Mercer's figurines or battle maps, or all this high budget stuff, he is nothing. I've had DMs who can run circles around him. This caught me off guard, to say the least. That is a really strange thing to do. Gotta be honest. Imagine, if you will, you enter into a game shop for the very first time. You hear somebody casually talking about Critical Role and Vox Machina. And you just come in there, sit down and say, Matt Mercer is such a terrible DM. I have people that could run circles around him without his production and his voice acting and battle maps and figurines. His guy is nothing. It's like, dude, we're not even talking to you. We're talking about this whole other thing. You just come in here, interject in conversation, just start to like badmouth somebody. It's like the same thing if like you talking to a friend like Mary, right? Hey Mary, what's your favorite type of ice cream?
Chocolate.
Oh, you like chocolate? Yeah, I kind of like cookies and cream. Chocolate is the worst ice cream possible. I could run circles around chocolate. Chocolate gives me so much diarrhea. It is the worst thing ever. I'd rather eat diarrhea than chocolate. It's just like, dude, it's like nobody why do you took this conversation with such a hostile energy? How about you start off with saying hello? Maybe talk about things that you like, or like enter the conversation casually instead of just with so much vitriol. It's like the guy had so much built up over Critical Role. He just comes in. It's like, this is my time to spout vitriol for the sake of spouting vitriol. I think you don't need like a game shop. You need like a therapist.
Take it back.
What about chocolate?
Take it back.
Well, I like chocolate too. I'm just making a point. I like chocolate. I'm
you
a fan
owe me
of chocolate
ice cream.
I'll get you chocolate ice cream. I'm just making a point. I was just making like a example. I don't hate chocolate. I love chocolate.
We'll talk about this later.
Over what? Anyway, let's get to the story. Now, I'll admit I'm biased toward Matt Mercer. He's been my inspiration in being a DM. I try to do voices for the NPCs, design worlds as interesting as he does, and make my players feel powerful when narrating their actions. Am I the best at that? Hell no. But I do try, and he continues to make me try and improve. So I will say I got a little agitated, but didn't want to cause a ruckus. The girl I was with and myself began to talk to him about why we think he's a good DM and so on. Jack even came along and joined in, though he thought we were just talking about Mercer and not defending him. When Dom realized that no one shared his opinions, he got pretty pissy and defensive, saying, I didn't say he was a bad DM, just that. And the girl rightly said, but you just said he was crap. That really pissed him off and he began to make a scene, telling us that we sure love to suck MM's cock, and how we'd never be as famous as him, and also how we probably don't even know how to play real D&D. Oh my god, what is wrong with this guy? There's no real D&D.
What is real D&D?
There is no real D&D. It's just this thing that some idiots say just for the sake of trying to make a point when there is no point to make. There is no real D&D. The only D&D that's happening is the D&D that's at your table with the people around you. When you're playing with your friends and you're around the table and you're having fun and telling cool stories and role-playing itself or rolling dice, that's real D&D. Whatever you see online or whatever you see pictures of, whether it's Critical Role or some other stuff, all of it is real D&D. But at the same time, every game is going to be a little bit different. The only time that really matters when it comes to real D&D is whatever is happening at the table and trying to make it for the best possible experience for everybody at the table. It's funny how this guy immediately when he is being confronted with like a different point of view or people disagreeing on like his rant, he immediately says like, oh, you just want to suck Matt Mercer's pee-pee. You never be as famous as him. Nobody is really trying to be famous as him. People are just saying like, hey, the guy is just not that bad.
I don't like the fact that you mentioned like oh, you don't know how to play real D&D. It's like everyone's got different play styles. Every DM's different, like how they make their campaign and create it. Everyone's got a different story. Like every single campaign is going to be different because there's going to be unique people, unique characters, unique storyline, unique places that like the DM has put all their effort into creating for the players to have fun and stuff. The fact that he's comparing other people to like one person just because they're known is ridiculous. Like some people don't have it, but they still have fun with it. They still are able to be creative with what they have. And even like how we use like Foundry, like we have fun using that, and it's not like having like the same as where they have like IRL was as online, but we still have as much fun as they do because it's like we're with friends, we're enjoying it, we're enjoying the story. And having Morrow as the DM is pretty pog too because they put a lot of work and effort into our campaign, and it's always super fun to play their stories and their characters. Though that influencer one you made, like I swear to God, I want to slap him.
I made a really cringe influencer character that's trying to take basically selfies with giant alligators or crocodiles. I think it's giant crocodiles. But what Mary's saying is right. Like at the end of the day, your game is your game, regardless of like if you're trying to emulate what somebody else is doing or doing your own thing. It's always best just to do your own thing and just focus on making it the best for the people that you're playing with, people at your table. whether it be IRL table or virtual table. At this point, Annie noticed this and promptly kicked him out with the help of the other staff. She apologized and said he was a big problem. He was caught stealing Magic the Gathering cards more than once and even sold cheap cards for super high prices to young kids who didn't know any better. He was banned, but the owner gave him one last chance. Needless to say, that chance is gone. Anywho, the girl was deeply just shocked by what happened. I reassured her and said she did nothing wrong, and that whatever the guy was on was not worth worrying about. Eventually she calmed down and I gave her her first taste of D&D. She loved it and plans to come back and hopefully play for a full campaign. And that's my story. Hope it wasn't too much. Have a great day, everyone, and hope you enjoyed this. I don't like the way that was put. I gave her the first taste of D&D. That sounds a little bit sexual, you know? I let her a little taste of rolling my dice, if you know what I mean. You want to roll my dice? You want to get a D20? Oh, Jesus Christ. I deserve that. Anyway, the guy sucks really badly. It's coming over like really weird vitriol the whole way. It's just like, it's absolutely just toxic energy. The guy probably thinks about Matt Mercer 24/7 about like, oh, the guy just sucks so much. He's just looking for opportunities to rant to somebody that even will bother listening to him.
What happened? It's probably he's been like, someone's said like they're better than him or something. Maybe he's tried to DM and someone's compared him to him and he's now got his egos hurt, so he's like, oh, he's full of crap, I'm better than him,
probably,
kind of thing.
We don't know, honestly, but I mean, it's not even like a critical feedback. It's just like, hey, you like this thing sucks, I hate it, I don't like the thing you're talking about, stop talking about the thing I'm talking about. It's like, dude, we're just talking here about goat cheese and stuff. Do you hate goat cheese that badly?
Cheese?
You like cheese?
I like cheese.
Yeah, imagine if we talk about cheese, right? And somebody's like, I hate cheese. Cheese gives me gas. Cheese is the worst thing ever. Why are you sucking off cheese so much, huh, you cheese writer? Sounds like a weird thing to say, cheese writer. I like cheese. I'm making an example. Guys, I'm making an example. I don't hate cheese. I love cheese. My favorite cheese is provolone.
I like smoked cheese.
You like smoked cheese?
Smoked.
Smoked. Okay, well, you gotta say smoked because it sounds like you said smoked cheese.
I said smoked.
I like smoked cheese. My name is Mary. I like smoked cheese.
I'll give you smoked cheese in a minute.
Ew, that sounds disgusting. I don't want to know what kind of cheese you make. Satyrs are weird, dude. Satyrs are wild.
I mean, technically, can you make cheese out of breast milk?
Let's get to the next story for today. But you're a barbarian. You're not supposed to play smart. Hello, Reddit. Seems like yet again I'm gonna have to play my character somewhere else. I joined the server about this time last year, where I played a barbarian from level 5 to 9. I had a great time. The server itself was deleted due to some internal arguments between one lass, whom I'll refer to as the DM, and the server owner. I got an invite to a new server, now run by a DM, only a month ago. The rules completely changed. I had to restart at level 3 and resituate myself. Not too big of a deal, so I thought. New DM starts making some rulings that are irritating at best and adversarial at worst. I rolled an @1 on medicine to stabilize a fallen ally. DM promptly says I added 2 failed death saves and killed my buddy. That is absolutely infuriating. Immediately leave the game right now if you're still part of the game. If any DM out there uses a medicine check in order to somehow screw you over, or like any rolls to purposely screw you over in such a significant way, where you're just adding 2 death saving throws and killing somebody, like, I get it's a natural one, I get it's supposed to be a critical failure, but it shouldn't cause killing off an entire ally. Boo, throw the popcorn at me. I want to start crafting a Moontouch sword. DM properly rules that it doesn't inflict magical damage and is therefore useless. This can be interpreted strictly rules as written, but runs contrary to how 99.99% of DMs rule it. In fact, every in D&D Beyond both register the damage as magical. If you're trying to make a magical item but your DM doesn't allow you to have it do magical damage, what is the point of crafting it then? What's the point of doing anything at this point? In fact, I think it's actually kind of cool that if you want to craft yourself a magical weapon, especially something as simple as a Moontouch sword. Take the moonstone or whatever the item is, take the regular weapon parts and just craft it right there, and you just have a magical weapon. But apparently if you craft a magical weapon no longer does anything magical. That is really stupid. But the bad ruling didn't come anywhere close to the idiocy of how this DM and several members of his server respond to tactical play in combat. When I'm put up against a pack of Velociraptors, which have pack tactics, oh, I know the Velociraptors have pack tactics. There's a specific droid that likes to use pack tactics pretty regularly, and I have to deal with that every single time, to the point where I just start making the droid do pack tactics for themselves, because I'm not going to control 8 Velociraptors doing pack tactics or multi-attack over and over again with a bite and a claw attack. I'm definitely not doing that. Definitely not. I'm gonna make her roll it for herself.
I promise I'd only use it if it is needed. I'm not gonna use it willy-nilly anymore. I'm gonna be careful with it.
I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. If your druid wants to use Velociraptors and spawn Velociraptors with multi-attack with claw and a bite attack, just make them do it. You don't have to do it. Make them do all the rolls. You just go out and get yourself a coffee or something, or get yourself a little sandwich. Let them do all that. It's simple. That's the best. That's my best advice.
It works though. They're so useful.
It works, yeah. No, but let them do it. Don't make yourself do it. Let them do it. Make him just spawn in a bunch of Velociraptors on the whatever virtual tabletop you're using. We use Foundry, and then just make her do it. There we go. Simple. I like to hang back and chuck javelins and hand axes. Monk teammate doesn't get the memo and gets swarmed. He survives, but gets royally pissed off at me for not just raging and reckless attacking, each of them doing about 9 damage in a round, so I'd be down about 2 rounds. When I'm put up against a flail snail, which stuns and makes 5 attacks a round, I get out of melee to try kiting the creature. This time, Swordbar, DM's character, wants to stay in melee so bad. She literally says, "I'm built for melee, what else am I supposed to be?" This is the incident where the medicine check came up. When I had level 4 and put up against a chasm, which I kid you not just one-shots me, I elect to take the dodge action on 2 different turns. Cleric and DM get pissed at me. The DM elects to attack me despite dodging. Unlucky hit, unlucky one-shot. I would have let it go. But DM goes, "How did that work out for you?" And I decide enough is enough. An argument unfolds. I call her out on adversarial behavior, and she basically argues that because I am doing anything smarter than just throwing myself at the enemy, I am a liability to teammates. I'm a selfish jerk, and altogether a coward. If you are playing smart and strategic, which, I mean, kind of the whole point of D&D, you know, it's a little bit of strategy to try to make sure you're maximizing on your actions or whatever you're doing. But like, if you're playing smart and strategically, and if it makes sense for you to do what you're doing, how is that being a coward, or how is that like bad in any way? When Mary uses conjure animals, she's using it for strategical purpose because it would be the most helpful thing to do for the party in that current moment. Not because she just wants to be a coward in the back. And the Barbarian here playing is just as optimally as possible. Dangerous things up ahead, I'm gonna stay back and just chuck javelins. A snail that can stun me, hit me for 5 attacks, I'm gonna just stay back and kite it. An enemy that is basically gonna one-shot you, I'm just gonna dodge. I'm just gonna play the defensive line. That's not a bad thing to do. Your actions are there for a reason. You have options on what you want to do for your turn. Do it. Nothing wrong with that. The spirit of the server clearly lived the first time around, and I'm a little disgusted to have invested the time I did in a meat grinder. But in a horrendous attitude towards most defensive playstyles is just downright loathsome. DM, we recognize that frontliner is a role often discussed and deemed mandatory to party compositions. This server ran combat in theater of the mind where every player was 30 feet from the enemy, so formation was widely disregarded anyways. Whether this is for the aesthetic or hardcore melee or taking one for the team, your marshals or melee equivalents are not constitutionally obligated to deliberately expose themselves to danger. They're part of the team, need to manage their resources too. I really hope it's just common sense that dodging and kiting are legitimate and valid strategies in gameplay. Thoughts? Of course! Who would say they aren't? If you need to play defensively and like strategically, do it. There's nothing keeping you from it. The fact that this needs to be even questioned in the first place is just really silly. Let's say, for example, Mary and I are engaged in some sort of a battle that is clearly going to be really difficult to win, but we have an exit strategy of literally running out of a cave. Mary, in this situation, when the fight is unwinnable, what is the best thing to do? Stay there and risk dying in a cavern somewhere against a great vicious monster, or get out of dodge?
We'll try and figure out a way to get everyone out safely.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, just run away.
Get everyone out safely, because that is the smartest thing to do. If the fight cannot be beaten, if there is no way to win against an insurmountable foe, Mary thinks of get everybody out safely. And that's a valid strategy. Playing defensively and playing critically and thinking about what you want to do and make it smart choices in combat or in any situation in D&D, it's not a bad thing. In fact, I think most people should encourage it because that's a good thing. You should play smart, even if your character is a little bit of a silly billy. Doesn't matter. If you want, as a player, to play more, I don't know, straightforward and more smart, you're perfectly allowed to do that. And don't let no stupid stinky DM tell you otherwise.
Like you're stinky. You're pretty stinky.
I took a shower today. I took a shower. I shower every single day. Quit sniffing me.
I'm still stinky.
Oh, yeah, okay, maybe I need to take another shower. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales tomorrow. Bye-bye.